Hello YouTube, Stainless here. Thank you for joining me today. What I want to talk about, well, what I was originally going to talk about was this. Oops, sorry. Just take this out. The Victorinox Sports Ratchet. It's kind of an interesting multi-tool to come out of the minds of Victorinox. Oh, this is, I think this comes from the 90s, early 2000s, but not to take away too much from this, I've been thinking about some things that have been going on politically recently. Maybe I want to mention that. The spirit behind what I do is kind of being able to, fend for yourself, being more self-reliant, being able to get yourself out of jams, being prepared with these little gadgets and gizmos and things that are a passion of mine that I collect. Along those lines, though, I've noticed certain trends, certain concerns I've had. They maybe, in a weird way, fall into the having the knowledge to take care of yourself and being prepared. Air quotes. What I specifically want to talk about is maybe our Fourth Amendment rights, our rights to privacy, to be secure in our homes, in our personal possessions, even our bodies, and to a great deal, I would say, even our minds and our thoughts, which are now open to being, well, I guess, examined, spied upon, observed in different ways. And I'll explain. Years ago, I remember I would sometimes when I'm driving around, I would get tired of listening to music, and I would tune into talk radio. There was a local luminary on the radio, AM station type stuff, and real popular, kind of got real popular with the political scene and conservative. Uh, Good old boy system that we have here. And that's fine, that was the nature of his kind of radio program. Real Hunspun type, folksy character. I won't give his name, but kind of real popular in that scene. But I know he was into aviation. He had his own plane out at a local airport we have here. He said something one day that just really, I remember it really, really struck me. We were talking, I forget what the exact topic was, but it was about a Fourth Amendment concern and some of the protections that we'd had under that. I can't remember the exact issue, but he'd said something about our Fourth Amendment rights, and if you're not doing anything wrong, why worry about it? And I was like, wow, that really set me back. And actually, I think I remember at the time it did make me angry, and angry kind of at the arrogance, and maybe he really wasn't aware of it. Now, can't read minds, don't know where he was coming from, but it seemed that, in a way, when we say things, there's obviously the content, there's how we say it, the emotionality we put in it, but there's also the things that we don't say. And you could easily assume that he believed he was in a position somewhere where he did not have to worry about the local constabulary, police, Bear County Sheriffs, or whatever, um, interfering with his Fourth Amendment rights. So maybe he innocently, I guess you could say, assumed that we all have those protections, or maybe he really, really didn't care, and he thought, you know what, if you're doing something wrong, you deserve whatever you get, and he was willing to sacrifice his rights to make that happen, I guess. You can't get into someone's mind, but clearly I do believe that somewhere in there was the idea that maybe because of, not his idea, but the actual real life working principles of our society, he was insulated because of probably his race, his socioeconomic background, a little bit of the politics, and his popularity, that it wasn't a concern of his. And he was probably very, very true. I know in my real life experiences, I've witnessed and lived through situations where people did receive a certain amount of privilege and protection above and beyond what normal people did, and they get away with a lot of stuff. But not to venture too far into that, sticking to what I kind of wanted to talk about, which is I'm going to talk about this more deftly later in case you're really interested in the Victorinox sports wretched. But at the founding of our country, our founding fathers, who were very noble, certainly, law was important to them. Men, deep thinkers, visionaries, add all the rest to them. They're great men that you don't see so often in our history. They believed there was a need, a protection. Privacy was a real thing that had to be protected, and they lived it. In their time, for example, they had something called writs of assistance. Officers in the military, public officials, of course, under the crown, could just write these on the spot. A writ of assistance. Hey, I need to go into your business and search for something. I don't think a tax was paid on this food, this materials, whatever. We have suspect something is going on. So right on the spot, without any kind of judicial oversight, they'd write these writs of assistance. They could go on forever indefinitely. They didn't have to be specific about what they were looking for, and it led to a lot of abuses. People, one of these officials could basically go in. If there was something they wanted, they could have it. If maybe they were jilted by your daughter or whatever, then they could go in and just harass you for no reason. But say someone else paid them money, say, hey, you know what, these people, the restaurant business there is kind of giving us a little too much competition. It would be really, really wonderful if you could maybe kind of ruin their day, something, so we can get a leg up in the competition with them. Here's some money, whatever you need. And basically, yeah, they would go in with these writs of assistance. They didn't have to be mindful of the care they took with your property. They could ruin everything. They could hold things up. Food could spoil. You couldn't open that day. Lots of things. Or it could be used in a lot of ways. There was a lot of abuses. And this was one of the things that they had brought up. Of course, criminally, wow, if someone gets into your home, they can get into your personal things and effects. Yes, they could plant evidence. It's fraught with all kinds of dangers, and they did take advantage of it, and it's one of the things that, of course, spurred the revolution and developed this country, this wonderful, beautiful country that we have. That among other rights that we have. Maybe I'll talk about First Amendment rights, Second Amendment rights later. But for right now, because of recent events, things going on in attitudes, I think it's important that I take a little time to throw my 2 cents out there about what's going on. Maybe you can glean something off that can help you. Like I said, in the spirit of being prepared, being able to take care of yourself, fend for yourself. Our privacy is almost non-existent. As you are aware of, we're on these social platforms, YouTube, Facebook in particular, Twitter especially, where just by virtue of being a member of these, by using these platforms, which I do, I'm not casting aspersions because I love these things, I'm into it, and I'm part of this problem. You do not realize how much information you put in there goes out to other people. This information can be bought. They like to measure what you do, the choices you make, the things you look at, who you talk with, what you talk about. All of that, don't fool yourselves, is being recorded. We had the Capitol riots, as everyone in this country, probably the world is well aware of. I don't want to get too political about it, but you had people going in live streaming the things that they were doing, which actually were crimes. They were perpetrating in real time, live streaming, making recordings, posting what they were doing on these platforms. I mean, they violated their own privacy. But there are times when you don't realize that your privacy is being invaded. You don't realize when you're under observation by authorities like the police, like the federal government, by private authorities you don't even know about. A funny thing, I'll get on my PC and I will look up metric wrenches, and then lo and behold, on my phone, the next time I'm on Facebook or what's another platform, Googling something, boom, there are ads for metric wrenches, all the different brands, Huffy, Stanley, Craftsman, whatever. Same thing with medications and stuff. It's like, suppose, wow, let's say I come down with a venereal disease. I'm looking up preparations for this medication. I'm Googling this particular disease for symptoms. Lo and behold, everywhere, ads for these medications or whatever to help combat that. All these people I don't even know, suddenly have this medical information. Then it's out there for sale and they can use it. They can predict with the right algorithms what choices we're going to make, what we're going to click on. And that's kind of scary, having that information about a general populace. Out and about, whenever you have your phone with you, that's just, that's like a walking dog collar. It's a leash they have on you. They know where you're at. Your cell phone pings off of towers. Depending on who you talk to, there's the idea that, yeah, your cameras, your microphones can be activated. Certainly your travel can be easily plotted. Your phone does things. Nowadays, these phones are never asleep. When we're sleeping, they get updated and new codes added. It's kind of interesting what happens that we're not aware of, what our machines are doing now that we're not aware of. Even when you're out and about, there are systems. It doesn't necessarily have to be an actual real cell tower. There's a device called Stingray. Some police departments utilize them. There's not a lot of law that governs their use, so maybe they do get a judge's approval. There's a lot of belief. There isn't a lot of oversight. What is the Stingray? If that's the right name I have for it. Basically, it mimics the functions of a cell tower in that, yeah, it sends out this signal. Your phone believes it's a cell tower, so it pings back, say, hey, this is Stainless's phone. This is my number. This is my, forget what it's called, but those ID codes that identify you, your account, with whatever carrier you have, and your particular phone. It's unique in all the world. And they can capture this. Police cars have these little cameras, these little sensors that help them capture license plates. Depending on what jurisdiction, what state, county, parish, whatever that state is, the laws are a little different in how long they can hang on to this information. Some states require that they delete it within minutes. Other states don't really have a time limit on that. So if you kind of think about that, if the patrol cars in the place where you live are constantly capturing people's license plates 24/7, they can get an idea of where you go, what you're doing, who are you meeting with, what time of day that you're going to be here. Now, if they're doing that with everyone, that's a lot of information. But let's say someone gets curious. They plug in your license plate number and they can pull it up on the computer. Oh, there's the record. Yes. At this date and time, we usually catch your license plate at this building. At this date and time, we usually catch your license plate here. So they can plot out where you go, who you talk with, what you meet with. And you kind of have to think, too, kind of get into your security mind. May get a little paranoid, a little cautious. What could someone do with that information? Yeah, they could track you. They know where you're at. But, you know, and you never know how this can be used. This could be used maybe for good. You know, it could end up clearing your name maybe. Or it could be used for bad. You just never know. And then even then, is this data able to be manipulated? Can it be rewritten? Can they change it? But yeah, all of this is out there. That's just many of the different things. Kind of back to that radio personality's statements, he had mentioned something about, you know, if you're not doing anything, who really cares? That seems to be like the attitude of Zuckerberg, runs Facebook. There's a gentleman, the CEO of Twitter. They also talk about how our privacy is probably a thing of the past as we know it. And I think the CEO of Twitter actually even said something to the effect that if you're not doing anything wrong, why are you worried about it? There was an attorney, probably on the same radio show, if I think about it, who brought up this idea about why these things are important, even if you aren't doing anything wrong. He mentioned this idea, let's say you're in your home, minding your own business, watching TV. Your kid's out with his friends or just having fun, doing kid stuff. They run across this ATV. Let's say it's out in the middle of nowhere. Keys are in it. No one's around. They're checking it out. Well, kids being kids, like, hey, well, let's take it for a spin. They start riding it around. And can't find the owner anywhere. They're way out in the boonies somewhere. Kid decides, hey, I'm going to bring it home. Maybe ride it again tomorrow. Maybe find out who owns it. Whatever. You don't realize that he drove this thing into your garage. You're just sitting there at home, If you're not doing anything wrong, why worry about it? All of a sudden, you have this police officer busting in because you don't have those protections, those Fourth Amendment protections, which, with that attitude, hey, if you're not doing anything wrong, why worry about it? Busts in there, boom, catches you with this ATV that turns out to be stolen, hotter than Iraqi plutonium, and boom, it falls on you. So there's reasons for this, and a lot of times we don't realize. A lot of times these things don't get explained to us in depthly. This information is out there. What can we do about it? Man, we are light years behind. It's like a weapons competition here. We kind of develop a protection. We get a protection against something, and then technology, boom, finds another way to exploit us and violate our privacy. It's kind of an ongoing thing, but you need to be aware. Hey, whenever you have your cell phone with you, you're letting everyone in the world know where you're at. And most of the time, yeah, you know what? Who cares? We get so much out. I get so much out of it anyway. It's like it's not a real issue for me. But in the back of my mind, I'm always aware that, hey, there's someone watching, someone listening. My dad is out there. All of my information, everything I searched in the internet is out there for people with the right connections, money, whatever influence to get a hold of. There's facial recognition now. They can pick out a face in the crowd. They can track someone. I remember a time, maybe in the 70s, I could get up, I could get into my car, I could go to the store, I could buy something, come back, and there really was hardly any kind of a trace. No one knew about my travel. Maybe they found an eyewitness. They could find an eyewitness and say, oh yeah, Jay went down this road at a certain time. But back then that was like really unlikely, because how would they even know what road I'd been down? Nowadays, you get in your car, you start your car, you have one of these smart cars, it's probably telling someone, hey, I've been started, I'm fixing to go. You have your phone with you, that's a beacon, you're telling people, hey, where are you going? Everyone has these Ring cameras now. Everyone else has cell phones. So if you drive down a certain road, your phone's getting pinged, they know you're on that road. Potential witnesses, their phones are getting pinged, they know who was there in that same space with you, who could be a witness to what you did. You drive down you drive down the road, cops are picking up reading your license plate. There's other cameras, other sensors that are picking up information about you. You go into the store, there's cameras there. You use a debit card, you use a credit card, boom, there's a record of that sale. Everything's computerized now for inventory. So exactly what you bought, bam, there's a record of. You get back in your car, boom, you're being followed, you're being traced in so many different ways. It's just something to be aware of. Now, I'm not saying, hey, you know what, trying to make smarter criminals. I'm not at all. What I'm trying to do is just make average Joe person out there aware of what's going on. Is there anything we can do about it? Politically, it's going to be a big old battle, and it's uphill right now for the average guy with everything else that's happening. Because both sides, and don't let them fool you. Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, really, they all dress the same, they work in the same places, they live in the same places, they make their money the same way. Don't let them fool you, really. It's us and them. It really is. We're not being well served by any faction of our government right now, okay? And they all have benefits out of knowing this stuff about us. More privacy for them, less privacy for us, means better life for them, not so great life for us. This is one of those things that you have to be aware of. You have to understand that this is what's going on. Maybe we're not going to be able to get away from the internet. Now, if you want to apply for a job, you have to be able to do that over the internet these days. But just be aware, with your medical information, that's no one's business. The things you buy, even your trash, they can go through someone's trash right now. hey, what medications are they on? What kind of diet are they on? You know, are they taking good care of themselves? Your DNA is going to be there. And that's another one. You know, yeah, it's kind of fun to find out, hey, your grandpa was a nephew of Napoleon or some stupid thing like that. Well, what are you giving up? You're giving up your DNA. It could end up somewhere, can be used against you. Yeah, who's to say it can't be planted somewhere? However it is now, they identify DNA, which is digitally. They can alter those records and put it on you. You never know. Research is being done now, genetic research on you, because of these things like 21andMe and all this Ancestry.com stuff. But you have to be aware, you know, if you make the choice, okay, yeah, I'm going to take this risk, I'm going to give up the right to my genetic identity and my DNA information, then that's great. That's an informed decision. More power to you. If you're a Democrat, Republican, you want to vote for this person, that person, hey, so long as you know what the heck's going on, all right, then you're making that choice. That's important, being informed, being an informed voter, an informed citizen. So hopefully we can get our country back, all right? And we, the people, are the ones that are in charge, not they, them, the politicians. And again, trust me, you know what, if you think the Republicans are more concerned about you than the Democrats or vice versa, baby, you're only snowing yourself. They're in it for themselves, okay? I mean, when's the last time they gave us a raise, all right? When's the last time they gave themselves a raise? They're making money so many different ways because they get privacy. We don't. We don't even know about it. You have people that go into politics, right, and then they become millionaires. Wow, how did that happen? A lot of other shady deals. But just remember, you have your Fourth Amendment rights. You have to exercise them. You know, crack a book, learn what they are. Don't give them up. And realize whenever you slide your phone in your pocket, you're letting people know where you're at any time. And possibly even, yeah, you know what, they can activate your camera and your microphone, all right? And they can pinpoint where you're at, and there's a permanent record of where you went that day for the rest of existence. You know, is that going to stop me from carrying a cell phone? Oh, no, probably not. But you know what? I'm going to be aware of what's going on when I do, all right? And who knows, maybe there's some day when I do need privacy. I'm going to go see my doctor, go see an attorney about some private business matter that I don't want anyone else to know about. Maybe I will leave my cell phone at home, you know? Maybe I'll walk, ride a bike, get there some other way. Just so long as at least I have that information and I'm aware of what's going on. We're all going to get back to the Victorinox Sports Ratchet. It's a very interesting little tool. Not very practical. I do want to talk about these things, but this is just something that's kind of been in my mind a lot to speak about. I'm not an expert. I'm not an attorney. I'm just trying to make you aware of a little bit of what's going on. A very, very complicated topic that would definitely bear more research on your part. You know, you'd be doing yourself a big favor, I'm sure. That's all for me right now. And please stay tuned for other videos. Maybe I am going to talk more about things like this. Again, the spirit of it is that you're prepared to deal with what you need to deal with, the unexpected, and you have the tools, maybe literally and of the mind, to be independent and fend for yourself. Stainless out.